Well, ladies and gentlemen, the time has come. Hello, everyone. Britton here, also known as Naoki Dude, and I'm back with another video. I am covering my first manga. How do you pronounce it? I'm probably going to use it interchangeably. If you want to tell me how to pronounce it correctly in the comments, feel free. But I am covering a manga today, and that is Pluto from Naoki Urasawa. I do not actually own a physical copy, so I am showing off the cover from my phone. Hopefully you guys can see it alright. Yes, this seems to be my first manga review. I have sold out, it seems. Yeah, I'm covering manga now. Now, I don't cover a lot of manga on this channel, and I don't read a lot of it because generally, I used to think it was kind of silly back in the day. I know. Very ironic from a guy who reads about superheroes, but I digress. I didn't read a lot of manga, but recently it has grown on me over the years, and I've started to see its potential as a creative medium. I do like some manga, such as Death Note, which is a fantastic manga, I think. And then, well, now, Urasawa, but we'll get into that. Manga are still comics at the end of the day, just Japanese ones, and I intend to treat all comics equally on my channel. So, yeah, we're going to be talking about Pluto today by Naoki Urasawa. I discovered Naoki Urasawa from a friend of mine on Goodreads a few years ago. He's a big manga fan, and he made a list of his suggested manga. Maybe I'll link that down below if you guys want to see that. And I finally decided to get around to Naoki Urasawa last year. I picked up Monster from him last year, and I got straight up addicted to that series. It's a fantastic read, and it is one that I hope to cover on my channel at some point, though I don't know how I'm going to do that eventually. But it is a fantastic series all the way through, and despite its length, it's very accessible. You can get through it pretty quickly. So this year I decided to try another series of his, the much shorter one, and that is the sci-fi murder mystery Pluto, of course, to see how it would fare. And I am happy to say that it is yet another excellent series from Naoki Urasawa. Pluto is what science fiction should be to me. Thoughtful, engaging, as well as entertaining. As in Monster, we see the deep humanity that makes Urasawa's work so compelling. There have been many science fiction stories that have discussed what makes us human, as well as if AI or robots can become human. There have been many authors who have had subjects, who have had things to say on the subject. Asimov had his thoughts, as did PKD, and many other people over the years. Now, I should note real quick that AI is one of my favorite tropes in science fiction. I think it's really fascinating to see if a robot, something that was created by a human being, could become a human being. And Urasawa really plays with that in an interesting way in this. And he gives his own thoughts on the subject on if AI could gain the same sentience that comes from being human, the same self-awareness that we have. But Urasawa showcases that being human is not a simple thing. That we are creatures that are emotional as is logical. And we're creatures that have so many conflicting emotions that we don't fully understand all of them. And to be fair, the robots in this story don't fully understand them either, even as they grow more emotionally as the story moves along. Pluto's story is twisty, and Urasawa once again showcases his gift to keep you constantly guessing. I love the way he makes his mysteries, and how he uses misdirection, how he uses breadcrumbs. He uses them brilliantly. Now, he doesn't have, and considering that he has a lesser time to play, and this is only about 56 or almost 60 issues long, so you can get through this pretty quickly, but Urasawa manages to say what he needs to say without too much issue. But this story also revolves around the themes of the battle between love and hatred within the human soul, and these robots, these AI, kind of grappling with these two things, because a lot of the robots in this story are dealing with the after effects of a war that happened several years prior to the series beginning. There is also themes of compassion as well as vengeance, and also the characters in this story are really well developed. I really enjoyed most of them. I was particularly touched by one of them, but I'll get to that at some point. Gashit and the other robots, who are the 7 greatest robots in the world, are fantastic. There's also great human characters such as Tenma and the old scientist. I can't name him at the moment. The one who created Yuri, I think is her name. The one who created her. He is also a really, really good character. I enjoy him a lot. There's also the theme of trauma and how it can destroy people on the inside. And also we see how trauma would affect an AI as we see the AI become more human as the story moves along. And as the story moves on, the difference between AI and human becomes increasingly blurred because Gashit, despite the fact that he is a machine, he is artificial. He begins to feel these emotions that he didn't know he had previously. And we also see this with a lot of the other robots as they grapple with the fact that they were part of a war. And despite the fact that they're robots and shouldn't be feeling these emotions, they are. And they don't really know how to handle them. And some of my favorite moments in this story actually came from the side characters, a lot like how it did with Monster. Urasawa has this gift of making his side characters so memorable, and just, he can just go on these little asides about these side characters who don't really play too much into the story, but he makes you feel so deeply for these characters, and he makes you feel so much for them that eventually when bad things happen, it really feels like a gut punch rather than the, oh shit, that sucks. There's a particular mini arc about a robot called North Number 2, which is actually in the very first arc, so you don't have to look for very long. And it might be one of the most touching pieces of comic book storytelling that I have ever read in my life. I wish I could say I was being facetious or I was exaggerating, but I'm not kidding. The North Number 2 is so good. I mean, it's really... I dare not spoil it for all of you because it is one of those that has to be read, and it is just, it's heartbreaking, it's beautiful, it's sad. There's this really heartwarming friendship that eventually forms between North Number 2 and his and the person he's caretaking, even though that guy's kind of a dick. I won't dare spoil it for all of you, but it seriously has more character development and storytelling than full comic book runs that I've read. It is legitimately that good. And many of the other robots are also really well done. Like, Hercules is really good. He's an interesting character. And even characters we don't really get to know, like Mont Blanc, who is murdered at the beginning of the story. That's not a spoiler, it's at the very beginning. And, we don't know him, but still we feel terrible that he's gone, because he seemed like such a nice guy. And there's even, going back to the trauma theme, there's even moments like, there's even a really nice throwback to Macbeth, where there's one part where a robot is obsessively washing his hands, not unlike Lady Macbeth, trying desperately to get the blood off, but it just won't come out. Beautiful stuff. Wonderful, wonderful stuff. And the political commentary, while I wouldn't call it the most subtle in the world, is really well done. And I think that Urasawa manages to bring it together and makes it a more universal story about the capacity of human beings, as well as the capacity of AI to discover the messiness that comes from being human beings. Of course, as in Monster, Urasawa's art continues to be strong. I mean, unlike other manga that I've read where all the characters look like they're 12 up to 22, all of Urasawa's characters look distinct, and they all look realistic. They all look like real people, so there's not any anime girl, nothing like that. All of his characters look like they could be real, and all of his characters are distinct and have their own look. Now, I won't pretend that he doesn't borrow some archetypes from previous series. This one kind of looks like Johan. Excuse me. But I love the expressiveness and the sense of movement that he uses with paneling. Really reminded me of Scott McCloud's Understanding Comics, how he described paneling. And I don't know if Urasawa has read that. I'd be I wouldn't be surprised if he has, actually, but he really took the paneling stuff that McLeod said to heart. It's really, really good stuff. And again, I love the look of his characters, and man, I wish his art was in color, because there are some color bits in this story, but man, I wish there was some, I wish there was color, because it would look just, get like some watercolor on there. Oh my gosh, it would just, it would be amazing. But nonetheless, Urasawa's designs remain unique, and all of his characters look different from each other, which is, again, not often something you can say in manga. You know, as I reached the end of Pluto, I remembered something a friend of mine, Josh, you may have seen him before, he's been on my channel a couple times, and will be on my channel again, for the Christmas episode of my podcast, but I'm digressing a bit. I remember something my friend Josh said to me when we were talking once, and he said, human beings are given a choice every day on if we'll be our good, or if we're going to embrace the good or the bad parts of ourselves, and it's ultimately up to us to decide who we're going to be. And ultimately, Pluto is about that choice that people make, and ultimately, the choice ends up going to the AI, because just as much as AI aren't like us, they are artificial, they are machines, there are many aspects where they are like us, and they have to face the same choices that we do. And there's a beautiful line at the middle of the story where Gashit gets wounded, and he gets this profound revelation about his life. And I won't spoil, but one of the lines that stuck with me is he asks one of the humans, it was actually someone he had a bad history with, he asks the hatred, does it ever go away? Now, one could say that the message is a little heavy-handed, but I think it's done so beautifully and with a touch of grace that I think it doesn't really bother me so much. And the way that Urasawa shows you how these characters are feeling, rather than just telegraphing a message, which to me is just lazy storytelling. But luckily, Urasawa is not lazy at what he does, and there is a lot of fantastic moments just like that. Just so many great little moments. I mean, there's a lot of discussion on grief and how it can drive you to madness, to the depths of despair. And also it discusses war in a very mature way that I wasn't expecting. But, you know, I did read Monster, so I guess I was expecting some quality. But, man, Pluto is just fantastic. I mean, go read it. I actually watched the anime adaptation recently, which actually was the thing that inspired me to make this video. What did I think of the anime? It's really good. And the English dub is actually pretty good for the most part. Usually when it comes to dubbing, like English dubbing in anime, it can be a little weird at times, and there's a lot of over-the-top delivery. You've seen people make fun of it all over the internet, bad English dubbing. But the English dubbing in this is actually really good. There was a lot of names of actors who I didn't know, though there were a couple of known names, like Nolan North plays one of that character I mentioned earlier, who Gashit had a bad history with. He plays that guy. Keith David, Mr. Sexy Voice himself, is in this. He plays Dr. Tenma, and he's fantastic in the role. I mean, he's just... Tenma's kind of an ass, but you feel sorry for him. And, of course, Keith David, he just has this gravitas to his voice that is just, you have to listen to it. It's fantastic, fantastic stuff. I love, but the adaptation was pitch perfect. They really didn't stray too far from the manga. So, I mean, if you watch the anime, you've pretty much read the manga. Though, I do recommend you read the manga. It's very good. But they are very close, so no worries. It's a good series. Also, Pro ZD is in it. Sungwon is in it. He plays, Brow 1589, I think is his name. The Hannibal Lecter robot. Fantastic. He was really good in that, too. I bet that was a dream come true. I know he's a big fan of Naoki Urasawa. But all I can say is and oh yeah, Clementine plays President Roosevelt. That's, I forgot all about that. she's also very good in the role, even though she's not in it for very long. But yeah, no, the anime of Pluto, I don't have too much to say. Again, North #2, they did it beautifully. My God, I mean, they really did it nicely, and no notes at all, as they say. But aside from all of my silly thoughts, I think that is all I have to talk about when it comes to Pluto. So go check it out if you will. Now, let's get to some good stuff. I have an announcement to make. Hopefully if you waited this long to get to the announcement. But on Friday, I am going to be doing a stream. Yes, my first stream on this channel. I have done streams in the past, back when I was kind of just floating around in the wind. But now I am doing my first official stream. I have made it to 200 subscribers. Thank you, everyone, for subscribing to my channel, watching my content, and really enjoying the content that I've been making. I really appreciate you all. It took me a while to get to 200, but I'm glad I got to 200. But I will be doing a stream on Friday. It will be at 5 p.m. Central Time, so mark that down on your calendars. I will be on for about an hour because I do have something to do on Friday, so it's going to be kind of shorter than I probably usually would do something like that. But it is my first big stream. I am very much looking forward to doing it. Please come on, join in. I might even invite some people on if they want to come on. So yeah, please feel free to come on. Again, it will be Friday, 5 p.m. Central. I will be putting up another video that day. But, yeah, come to my channel, come check it out. And aside from that, that's all I got for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. This is my first manga review. I'm probably going to do some more in the future. Because, you know, I am not against reviewing manga on this channel. I just don't do it very often. But if you guys enjoyed this, check me out on Twitter, SomeOkiDude. You can also find me on Goodreads and Letterboxd, where I write reviews that are probably more coherent than the one you just heard right now. And you can find me on Discord if you want to come talk to me. I would love to hear from you guys. So yeah, like, comment, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. And I think that's all I got. So I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.